visual writers.
Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. You already know the deal. First and foremost, shout out to everybody who is watching this live. Do us a favor. Drop where you're watching this from. Please hit that like. Even if you're watching the replay, please hit that like because it's going to activate the algorithm to like us more. So you like us, let the algorithm like us, right? Of course, episode 142 drop today. If you heard it, you already know there was a part of it that made you maybe a little bit hungry because we went over the success of Crumble Cookie. But of course, we also talked about how to make money without having a product. Is your content necessarily boxing you in? YouTube new requirements, and then Michael Jordan making a couple billions and that whole nine. So definitely go check out the audio experience on episode 142. The video experience is coming out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube channel. So definitely go check that out. Moose, how are we feeling?
I am feeling good, man. Feeling good. Back in the breathable black tea once again.
Okay.
At least one last time from this setup for the next few weeks. So, yeah. No, but overall, feeling pretty good, man. Gonna be getting on the road tomorrow. Well, not the road. This is really the plane.
That's not
So
that's not a road.
that's not even the
That's not a
road
road trip.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's you getting on a plane. So,
Yeah, if
yeah,
you can't get
man.
there by a bus
A
or a
car.
car,
Facts. It's not a road trip. It's not
it could be a boat
doesn't
trip.
count.
That's a very long boat trip.
I like that. I've never heard of that term. I mean, it takes about a month and a half in the water.
Yeah,
But by definition, it is possible. So we can. I'm boat trip by plane. Yeah, that works. I'm with it.
it's a
I'm with
long
it.
boat trip. A long
Yeah,
boat trip.
yeah.
I
So
wonder if
I'm
there's. See, now you got me thinking. I wonder if there is what are those things? Cruise ships. There it is. I wonder if there's cruise ships that go there.
dang. I'm from what I know. Like, so for example, and by the way, for those of you who are like, what the heck are you guys talking about? I'm flying back to Egypt, man, tomorrow for the first time. Yeah, for the first time in 24 years. So that's gonna be a heck of a ride. And but so
And the
we used
baby's
to.
excited because
Oh,
we hear her
definitely.
in the back.
Yeah. Fact. Shout out to little one doing her thing. Thank you so much. No, but we used to ship containers. Like, if you ever had stuff that you wanted to send to the family back home, we would put it in a container, and of course they would ship it, on a boat. And we would always check the shipping dates. Like, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm like, 6 to 8. What? Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks. So just in the water, just like, there you go. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's far, man. It's
it
far.
is far.
How you feeling though? What's up with you?
Good. I'm
Yellow and
in
black looks
my
good on you, man. I ain't even gonna lie. It looks
huh?
so the yellow and black looks like it looks good on you. It's
Thank you.
complimenting. Yeah, it looks good.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I'm in student mode, so I'm in a certain class to learn about how to get more brand deals, more sponsorships, because we can't talk about it and not further our education on it. So it started today. Literally, I got off maybe 5 minutes before we started this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it started at 6 Eastern time. So a lot to digest, a lot of templates, and then some of y'all know I'm back on my Notion vibe, meaning I'm trying to organize my life in one central place. I have seasons, right? I realize that apps have to continuously intrigue me. If not, I go and find another boo. Right.
Another
So
boo.
yeah,
Another
I
app
go.
boo.
Listen, I've literally went from Notion to Mem to Reflect, now back to Notion because they're getting big on AI, in which maybe one day we'll talk about Notion. If you want to do a deal with us, hey, we gonna work something out.
Makes
I'm just
sense to
saying.
me.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense to
work something
me.
out. But on my phone, on my iPad, Notion has been a thing. I've been pushing it in deeper than the brand, giving them templates. Yeah, I'm just trying to systemize my life a little bit more. I'm reading, or like I have a read/watch list. So every time I watch something or listen to something, I'm putting it in there, putting in the notes and keeping it moving. Because normally I'll listen and I'll keep it moving. Like, okay, what's the next thing? But now I'm
Yeah.
like really trying to document some
Wow.
of these things. Just not trying to rely on my memory too much. Not trying to do
Yeah,
that.
no, I ain't mad at that. Yeah, yeah, y'all stay on your toes, man. Anytime Nikki goes into this mode, I ain't even gonna take you back down memory lane. I'm just gonna say, stay on your toes, be on the lookout, do a little more studying yourself. Not to say that you're in competition, but you just don't want to fall too far behind. I'll just say that. I'll just say that. Heads up.
I bring people with me.
I know you do, but you know what I'm saying. It's about to be like, phew. So I just want to put like a smoke signal out to the people who are like, what's happening?
Oh,
Where are we
listen,
going?
listen.
Get ready.
And it's. I'll see if I can show it on. It's real when I could add motion to it. I mean, it's real when I can add motion to it. You got to
That's
do
fire.
little things that that keep me excited. It's the little things. It's the
That's
little
fire.
things.
That's fire. That's fire. Let's get into it, man. I won't hold y'all back any longer. I think this is going to be a really good conversation, especially for those of you who are doubling back after last week's live, which was a phenomenal conversation about, of course, content creation and being consistent in that space. So now we're talking about the next thing up, which is another hot topic, super important. We're talking about engagement. I mean, you know, this is it's funny how when you brought this up, I was like, yo, that's crazy. The difference between good brands, great brands, average brands is the way they engage and interact with their audience, their clients, their customers, right? And literally wrote it in the emails, like, you notice that you come across some brands, they have huge following. You look at their comments and you're like, man, this is not making sense. Like, it's just not lining up. Then you look at some other creators, they might have a fraction of the total followers that the big brand has, but engagement is out the wazoo. Like, comment section is legit a club. It's a community. It's a dance party. Like, you can see, like, they're really in there building as if they were neighbors. And so it has to make you wonder, man, what is it? What's the big difference there? And so when you brought up that word and you said engagement, I said, that's exactly what it is. That's probably the big difference maker that is going to set the tone for great brands versus average brands. And it's not really talked about like that. And by like that, I mean with clarity, breaking it down, talking about how to do it, and what's the best way to avoid some of the mistakes or the pitfalls that make you start looking like, yo, is this person, did they buy their followers? What's happening here? Because these numbers ain't making sense. And so, yeah, Nix, let's talk about it, man. I love that you brought this up because I know this is about to be rich.
Yeah, so you're gonna hear my dog playing with his toy in the background. So let me apologize in the beginning. He is going ham. I don't even know how, but I think when we look at the title of, like, how to build a brand on social media, he gets louder as I talk. This is amazing. But as we look at the title of how to grow a brand on social media and have that engagement, the focus of, we have to understand that people come first when it comes to our brand, right? We have to be a people first brand. Though revenue is important, Absolutely. Our products, our services are important. Absolutely. Our brand design, shout out to Marshall, is very important. The aesthetics, very important. Not negating or downplaying any of it, but it will not mean anything if the people do not rock with it. If they feel that you are coming with who you are first and your goals and your desires and your mission rather than theirs. So when we start think about, and we've spoken a few times about the importance of understanding our target audience. It's very important when we're starting to talk about engagement and some of the things to raise that up so our brand awareness could be out there more. We have to be very laser focused on who our target audience is. And it really can't be 18 to 65 plus. It can't be my message is for everybody. My brand is for everybody. It has to be super targeted if we're trying to get conversations, right? We as human beings don't talk to everybody, right? Even the most peopleest people in the world don't necessarily talk to every single person. But with that understanding that we don't speak to everybody, we have to narrow down, who do we speak to? Who do we smile to? Who do we laugh to? Who do we get frustrated with? Who do we like? And let's not front. With some of our audience, we get very frustrated with them, right? We laugh at them. We have the best times with them. We have the deepest conversation with them. Why? Because we are creating connections. And though we think, if we post some type of content out, it's going to is going to create engagement. I was talking to I won't mention their name, but an individual, and they were like, so I feel like that I'm getting the same amount of people to come back every single day for my post. But they're not saying anything, but I'm seeing the numbers, the likes, the views, and sometimes a share or two come on a consistent basis. What does this mean? You have an engaging community. You have a community. Now, are you talking to them? Are you asking for their feedback? Sometimes the very first step to creating engagement is just asking them. Are we asking them questions? Are we asking for their feedback? Are we asking for their opinion? Are we asking how they feel today? I think one of the easiest posts to do for people to engage with is, drop your favorite, or drop an emoji or a GIF on how are you feeling today, right? And for those people who are watching live or even in the replay, let's just do that. How are you feeling today? Drop an emoji. If you could do a GIF, I know on YouTube you can't. Facebook, I believe you can if you're watching this on Facebook. But on YouTube, drop your favorite emoji on how are you feeling today or about this week. One of those things, it makes it fun. You want to make it a safe and fun place that people can come to when it comes to your brand. So I think the very first step we're talking about is, are you talking to your audience and are you asking them to engage with you?
Yeah. What's interesting is that anytime that word is thrown out, like, how well do you know your audience, or what's your target audience? I don't know about those who are listening, but I know in my early days, my instinct was to always say, I have to research. And I thought Google would give me the answer. I never made the connection to what you just said, though. It's not Google who has the answer. It's the people who you want to serve. They have the answer. So it's exactly what you said there, because, there's a philosophy around, hey, how well do you know your people? So much so that you would know where they are going to be on a specific day or what they're doing even at a set time. All right. So it's easy to assume. I would usually don't like to use that word, but I will do so now. It's good to assume that if you're an entrepreneurship, and if you are especially in the financial literacy space, or you talk anything related to money, you're probably going to be where at InvestFest next month or 2 months from now. You know? So it's like, if you're in tune with your audience and you're like, man, I really want to know what my audience is going through. I wonder what their pain points are. You might want to go to InvestFest. You might want to especially sit in on a conversation featuring someone who was on this podcast, and it's not me. It's the person to my left, probably your right.
We're trying to get Moose to InvestFest, though. We are trying to get Moose to InvestFest. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's really cool to think about it that way, because so much of the word know your target or do research sounds like a one-way conversation that you have with the internet and not a dialogue that you have with people. And starting to listen for their responses and say, okay, I'm hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so that probably is an indicator as to what are my people feeling, or where are they? Where are they struggling in this season, or what are they struggling with in this season? So just one of those things to add to and say, hey, don't think of, you get to know your target audience by, why I say it like that, audience, I said that weird. You get to know your target audience by just doing research online or asking Google. Get out in them streets. Get out in them streets. Like, seriously, hit events where your people are, or the people you want to serve. Look for where they are and go connect with them at those events. I think those face-to-face interactions have become maybe a little bit downplayed, but they're still very, very, very powerful. Never downplay that.
Yeah, it's truly, it's the embodying the culture is kind of the way to go about it from that, where you're looking at, I have to be with the people to truly understand what they need. I have to talk to them. I have to see what they like. Sometimes, yeah, we can Google it. We could chat GPT it. We could do some polls and surveys. But sometimes we do have to embody ourselves with seeing and hearing and having conversations with what exactly do they need, and finding out the gaps in that way, because some of us may not get the actual information that we need right away from the internet, or specific information that our audience that we're seeking to serve, because there's so much to research on the internet. And so hence why a lot of people do believe, oh, I just want to serve everybody. Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Good luck. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. What about from a content standpoint? Let's jump into that a little bit, because I think this is where it really gets fun. And you started the conversation by sometimes doing a simple survey, but I noticed that there are certain type of, or maybe different types of content that almost speak to the pain points that your audience has, but they don't know they're feeling, or they don't know their experience. It's like, you ever come across a piece of content that makes you say, dang, that really articulated what I feel.
Yeah.
That I didn't know how to say. I'm so big on that. Like, anything that I come across that helps me to learn how to say something that I didn't know how to say, but I felt, that's an automatic save for me. I don't share much on my stories, but I definitely got to say, like, I'm a constant saver. I'm always saving screenshots and stuff like that. And I know for me, it's content that helps me to communicate something that I felt that I never had the words to describe. So I saw something today, actually, ironically enough, it said something like, I'm willing to go 50-50 with you, but I'm also willing to go 75-25, 85-15, 99-1, as long as the same energy is reciprocated. And I was like, yo,
that's good.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, absolutely. I don't mind carrying the weight, no problem. But I just want that same energy. And again, just an example around the content that can almost start reading your audience's mind to a point that they're like, I didn't know I felt this. It's a therapy moment in a sense, but I don't know if that is a part of your strategy per se, Nix, but how do you create content that you sometimes would say, I know that people need it, even if they don't know how to say it? Like I could just see the gap in a sense.
So there's different categories when we're talking about creating content that will, break down a person's pain point, right? Because when we understand who we're talking to, we understand, certain trigger words, certain pain points that they have, and we have to show them and guide them through the solution and to the transformation that they're going to have. So you want to break it down into smaller things. For example, like stories, small stories, short stories, listicles, right? What's from the old and what's in the new. What is something that you, like a contradiction, like you see something and you have an opposing view on it, right?
You disagree with it.
Yeah. So, we have other things like just straight up like, here's the problem, here's the solution. But when you break it down into these different ways of here's your problem, but if I tell you here's the problem, you may not listen to it. So let me tell you a story about how in the beginning I wasn't very consistent, and I was truly trying to figure out my own content journey, but in the process I just felt like I wasn't good enough. And so I would try to go and do carousels all the time. That wasn't working. I would try to do the pre-recorded videos. I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like how I looked, but then I realized going live, that was my most natural way. Didn't have to worry about how I looked, the lighting, any of that. I just have to continue to show up. And that was some of the most engaging content that I've ever created, which also showed that I had to stop overthinking, right? So speaking on the journey where I understand, okay, I know a lot of people's problem is perfection, is overthinking, is trying to figure out which is the same, which is content form is going to work for me, and struggle with consistency. Boom. Then let me create a story. Let me give 3 AI tools for those people who are starting a brand and need to create a website. Let me give 3 AI tools that will allow you to do this. Let me show a show and tell of one AI tool to see if it works, and see your feedback on it, right? Let me do a green screen on something that's happening right now, right? Something that's relevant, and give my take on it, right? And so showing the problem, but then giving multiple solutions. And of course, I'm talking from an educational standpoint because of my niche. But you can do this. Oh, man. I was looking at, shout out to Lashana. I was talking to Lashana today. And I went on my chubby vibe because there's this, overseas has some of the best snacks. Like, their options of flavors and things like that, like, hence why a lot of them come. Follow where I'm going with this.
No, this is real. This is a real story. Yeah.
This is a real story. So, hence why there are these exotic snacks that get imported to the U.S. and there's certain stores or certain accounts that sell it, right? So, one account that I follow on TikTok, they're so dope in figuring out how to get people to order from them by making the shipping process engaging. What do I mean by that? So they'll say, they'll get a comment, hey, can you show order 457? right? Can you show my order 457? Absolutely. So they'll grab a box, they'll grab all the exotic snacks, and they'll show it as they're packing it. Yo, I got the exclusive Pringles that are chicken and waffle flavor. We got the Oreos that are pistachios, and they'll bring it out. One, it shows, oh, they do ship on a regular basis. Two, here are the snacks that they have. Three, I'm keeping the audience engaged from a brand awareness standpoint, but we listen to you, and your order could be next, right? So that type of content is really intriguing, and that comes from a brand that isn't educational, isn't anything. It sells a product, right? It sells imported snacks. So there's a way to always create conversation and engagement regardless of what type of brand that you have.
Yeah. I got so much to say, but let me first say this. The story you shared, is that a true story? About
Yeah.
really?
You don't
Like,
make up stories. That's a lie. I don't lie.
well, no, I mean, because you said education, so I'm like, oh, this could be an educational example. It's an example purpose. But no, I'm saying like true story of like your journey around like, because I even like that phrase, content journey. And you said how you started, like, man, I didn't like this, I don't like that. And live seemed to be the thing that worked the best for me, and so I just went with that. True story.
Yeah. Very
That's
true
dope.
story.
Yeah. No, because my two things came to mind when you said that. Number one is you can teach so much more by doing yourself, right? Just going through the process of doing yourself, you have these very real experiences that you can pull from, and it allows you to connect with people who are at the phase that you were once in, because you just know, you're like, I did this. I didn't read about it. I didn't see it. I didn't think it. No, I did it. And so I know what you're probably feeling. And so that's so critical. The part that I was going to speak to is, and I, of course, shout out to the Flight Assessment segment sponsor on the podcast, but secretly, and not a secret anymore, clearly, because I'm saying it here, 99% of my content is rooted in the flight assessment. Because what I've learned is that human patterns or behavioral patterns, they tend to really repeat themselves, and they follow certain cycles that exist in various types of personalities. And so if you can start to understand, well, what are those challenges that are naturally going to occur based on the different personalities that exist in the world? And then more specifically, how do those personalities show up in my target audience, right? How do those traits and characteristics or challenges show up with my target audience and the goals that they're trying to achieve? Simply having that knowledge, a lot of the mental roadblocks, the mindset, the behavioral traits, those things that tend to trip people up, that's been my gateway drug in a sense, right? Because I was like, wait, why try to recreate something when I know something so well already? It's probably the best, like on camera, that's the thing that I feel most comfortable of talking about. So going back to your content journey, it just felt so natural to just stay there, right? And so that's definitely something I wanted to add in and just really highlight from the piece that you talked about. The most engaging content that you're going to put out is the one that it's like so saturated inside of you. Like if they squeeze you, it would just come out. Like if you poke Nicky, content and branding stuff will come out of her. It would just be like, like content gems would just spill out. And I really believe, like, if you did the same thing to me, it would be flight assessment content that comes out. And so if you're in the beginning of your content journey, or heck, in the middle of your content journey, and you're like, man, I just want more engagement, but you're having to force yourself to produce natural content, like you're on camera trying to force yourself, you still feel like it's an act. I know somebody resonates with this because I used to have a speaking voice. I don't know if you ever had a speaking voice, Nicky, but if this was my natural tone and then it was time for me to speak, and then I would have to start, because the speak and I'm like, bro, just talk. Like, why you got to talk like that? Just
Right.
communicate, just talk. And so finally, when I found a space, I said, oh, this usually happens when I'm trying to cover up something that I feel is not good enough. So you add these other accessories to it, the tone and the this and the that. But when you're just naturally speaking on the piece that most feels real to you, that's the part that I feel most engaging, especially in today's social media, let's call it economy or market. Like, people really can tell. I don't know how they can, but they can tell what content it's like, okay, now this is a Moose content. This is a Nicky content versus, okay, I know it's Moose, but this seemed forced. Or I know this is so-and-so, but if this post felt a little forced. It didn't feel as genuine. And so, yeah, I definitely wanted to add those pieces in, because when we think about engagement, and not to definitely downplay the importance of the tactical things, but just remember, like, that piece is still at the epicenter of the whole thing.
Right. No, and I love how somebody said earlier, like, yo, I think I could do storytelling. And I believe we've spoken on how there is a surge of storytelling content that's coming out that people are starting to relate more. It's not so much about all the information. I think we're getting to the point of there's so much information out there. Do not give me more information. Give me how you are applying this information. Give me how you are utilizing your product, utilizing your service, or anybody else is utilizing your product, your service. Tell me how this is going to fit into your life, into which I connect with, that I may relate as my own life. And so, you know, it's gotten so much of, okay, here's another thing, here's another thing, here's another thing, right? And more of, okay, let me try this out. I see this product, let's try it out. I see this, okay, let's do it. Not saying to completely disregard of telling a person what you have, what you do, that whole nine, giving them value, but we need to start figuring out how we have it embedded in our lives. How are we a user, a product of what we speak on or what we show? So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on the storytelling part.
Yeah, it's like that definition of I think it's the definition of leadership, where they say, some people think being a leader is having a bunch of people work for you, but true leadership is you working for the people. So it's like,
Right.
oh, this is the challenge that you're having. All right, let me go find out a solution and come back and present that to you in an easy way. So you're doing a lot of the groundwork, not the other way around, right? You're not, say, sitting on your platform and saying, wow, look at all these amazing followers. Look how many followers I have, or how much likes I get. That's not leadership. And again, in the online education space, or even the personal brand space, a lot of people, would consider themselves thought leaders. Just know it's like, oh, okay, because that word leader is in there, still work for the people. There's a responsibility to do that. So yeah, that's a good point.
I agree.
What about some of the tactical stuff now? Like, I always see you always engaging in the comments, using up all the real estate in your captions, right? Like, almost a fun question. How long does it take for you to post up, like post to post? I know, like, creating the content is usually, it's almost like muscle memory for you. Maybe some may take longer than others depending on how much production goes into it. But when you have something ready, how much work can you talk about, like, the steps that go into it, so that you're posting posting the content with engagement in mind? Sorry, that's a long question, but
No, you good. So, shout out to the speak to text situation that we have on our phones. Because if I had to type all this, I'd be struggling. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes I type it and it takes a minute, but shout out to the speak to text situation. So when I have something to post, what I do from a caption standpoint, I always think about what is it, and is there any backstory or added tips I can give, right? So I'll talk on that real quick. Then I'll think about what the call to action is, right? So recently it has been getting people on my email list for Content Corner, right? And when you're on Content Corner, you get notifications when Nicky and Moose goes live. So it's very dope, right? But so I'm doing a call to action in there. Then I'm also asking people a question, right? It'll always be trying to get people's feedback off of what I posted. What did you think about it? How do you feel about this? Will you use this? I'm always asking a question to create engagement, as well as, I have a branded hashtag, So 9 out of 10 times you'll always see Lions behavior, because that has been the hashtag that has always stuck with me, and it's not going anywhere. So to answer your question, I would probably say between like 10 to 15 minutes to actually post it based off, and of course it varies with the platform, to where, like, if I'm on Instagram, then I got to make sure I got the right topics on it. If I need to tag anybody, I'm tagging somebody. If it's an original audio and I'm not using any trending sounds, what would be a title that I can give the sound that could possibly be searchable, right? If I'm on TikTok, then I'm, writing the caption, I'm getting engaging hashtags that'll go with it. I'll put it in the right playlist. Shorts, I'm doing, I'm doing research on what could be possibly the best YouTube title. So each platform requires its own amount of time, but that's kind of how I prep something.
Just fan it down so that people can cool down after that. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I thought I was the only one who paid so much attention to the topics. I was like, I don't know. And it's true. I don't know the impacts of topic selection and how that affects engagement, either positively or negatively. I'd like to think so. And so my thought process, and I think this would be a good learning moment for those of you who are not familiar with topics, is maybe, Nick, you can expand on it a little bit more. All I know is that as a creator account, when you're posting a reel, you have the option to select what category does your content fit into. And so I typically try to own 2 areas all the time, like almost all my content, for the most part. I don't ever force it if it doesn't fit. Like some of the lifestyle stuff, obviously I don't squeeze it in there. But I try to own 2 topics that I select all the time with every reel. Talk a little bit about that, because I actually don't see any content online that talks about selecting topics to boost engagement and things like that.
Yeah, so when it comes to Instagram, they have been not giving so much power to hashtags anymore. We've seen the decline of that as far as increasing our reach for a while. So now they've added topics where it's not a lot of topics that they're giving you, but this is how they categorize your content to things like the Explorer page or what people may be liking on their timeline. So if you go on your timeline, you're starting to see things that are being suggested to you. And so that could be a part of whatever topic that, they picked in their reel, right? So the most you could pick is three topics. So like how you own 2, I normally do like technology, consumer tech, and phones and accessories. When we're talking about AI, I'm talking about technology, phone and accessories, and maybe entrepreneurship when I'm talking about social media updates. You want to find whatever comes the closest to your audience, right? That you are trying to reach. Not necessarily because sometimes they're not going to have exactly what you're talking about. So like with ET, for those people who don't know, I'll do relationship with self, small business, and entrepreneurship, because they don't necessarily have a personal development category. But you want to reach the closest to it that it makes sense for that content to truly pop up. So there's no like super proven stats that it is going to increase your reach, but they did put that there for a reason. And so you might as well utilize it for when there are those proven stats that it's working. You are in front line with it.
Man, so good. I love that. Yeah, that's actually what I picked too. So I guess me and E are been in the same category. I've been picking exactly that too. The relationships and stuff. I was like, man, that's interesting. It's got to mean some sort of mindset, personal development, because that don't even make sense. Like I've never paid attention to that as a category.
I was thinking like self-care and stuff like that too.
Right.
Like
Especially mental health because it's so popular. But
yep.
yeah. Anyway, listen, folks, if y'all are getting some value from this, light up the comments a little bit. Last week, y'all were lit in the comments. Comments was off the wall. Super chats was banging left or right. It was like, wow, we see y'all. So if y'all out there somewhere in internet land, YouTube world, wherever you're watching this from, drop, you know what I'm saying? Drop some takeaways, get your questions ready. We haven't really talked about, I don't think we've ever covered engagement or just content in general through the lens and scope in which we talked about today. So if y'all got some questions, make sure you go ahead and get those questions ready. We'll circle back towards the end with a couple of minutes left in the live and talk or answer some of those questions. But if you're getting some takeaways or you got some takeaways, some value from this, you know what I'm saying? Just drop a 1, drop a yes, drop an I, say me, drop an emoji, right? Like comment something. Let's see if y'all really tuned into this and what's the takeaway, because yeah, this stuff is, it's different. Stuff is different.
Yeah, and shout out to the loyal people that always watches us live. And I was having this conversation when we're talking about building a brand on social media and the engagement, and also not being discouraged when there isn't necessarily high numbers, but be very grateful for those people who continue to show up, right? Those people who continue to engage. So we know there are certain people, shout out to Jasmine, shout out to Flo with Joe, Lysandra, Janita, Jessica, shout out to Kurt, Mimi, the people who continuously come back over and over again, because that's who we are sculpting the content for. And so when we are recognizing for lesson purposes, like when you are recognizing the same amount of people that come through, the same amount of people that watch, the same amount of people that comment, you want to acknowledge, you want to somehow engage with them too, because if they do not feel seen, those numbers will dwindle. All right, we've consistently have the same numbers, and we appreciate it because we are, once again, people first, but we also want to make sure they are seen. So when you are realizing, whether it's 3 people that consistently come through, whether it's 50 people that come through, hundreds and thousands of people that consistently come through, which you'll probably have to get like a moderator and things like that when those things happen. But when those things come through, acknowledge and be grateful instead of being, I only get this amount. I only get this amount, because the algorithm will hit you and you won't get that amount anymore. So it's so important from a community wise to, one, acknowledge. So shout out to everybody who do come every single week and watches the live show, even if it's the replay, we appreciate it. But acknowledge them, but also craft what you're doing around them so they can continuously come back and continuously give the engagement that you're asking for.
And would you say that content in general, like I like to think of content, or I like to think of myself with the different types of content that I put out, where there's a role that I play, where, let's say, thought leader is one of them, right? Friend is another, like friend or neighbor. And the reason why I do it that way is because I say, when you think of a thought leader, this is someone who is speaking in a way that typically captures your attention because they're challenging you to think about something, personal, business, whatever it may be, in a way that you never thought about it before. And so it's typically to a cold audience, right? Like think of you're speaking on stage. You don't know everyone in the audience. Most of the time you don't, right? You might know a couple people, but you're not gonna know every single person in the audience.
Right.
So that's the thought leader hat. But then this one here for the engagement piece is pretty interesting because when you think about conversations or engagement that you have with your friend or your neighbor, it's a completely different type of dialogue, right? It's a lot more personable. You are, and as you mentioned, Nick, a lot more interested in what they have going on. So like, hey, so how you been and how you feeling with this and what you got going on? That's a different conversation. And so I try to pepper in content that takes on more of the friend and neighbor role and not always the superhero, like, hey, look at me. I'm so smart. I'm so right. You just gotta follow me just because. So I think a different way is also creating content just for the people who are with you. Like, yeah, you can engage with your stories, but content that also engages from a family, friend, neighbor standpoint is critical too. Like, I think I saw something you posted recently, which was, hey, I just want to say thank you. Shout out to everyone who's, been always supporting. So it's like, that's not something that someone who never followed you or came across your content before is going to see that and say, oh, I'm gonna follow this person. That may not necessarily be the piece of content that gets you more followers or grows your brand or whatever, but it's still a critical one because you're nurturing and taking care of the things that are already there. For me, it always made sense because I think of it from a business standpoint where we work on retention a lot. That's one of my biggest focal points in every business that I'm a part of. I want to see that we're retaining customers month over month. Are you going to be perfect with this journey? No. Customers are going to fall off. And I like to believe that on social media, you could have the best content, but some people are just going to outgrow or start to go differently or have a different taste about what you've been doing, and then they're unfollow. That could be a different way to think about retention, but still the intent, the goal to say, no, I want to still serve the people that are here, whether it be with a thank you, with a check-in post, or with even something that's just specifically, cater or tailored to them.
Yeah. Wait, I feel like there was a question. Wait, was that a statement or question? Hold on.
No, I was just saying, I don't know if you, like, I have the different roles that I bounce between.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was
and,
like, wait.
And yeah, so I don't know if you divide them out that way too.
So I don't necessarily divide it. I just try to be just the people's champ, right? Where there's a lot of teachers, there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of other people, right? I really just want to share my journey and share my experiences. I never try to deem myself as an expert, though other people will say that I am, right? I will never say I'm this big coach or whatever, though people will say that I am. I'm literally saying, hey, here are some of the things that I found. What have you found? Have you used it? What is your thoughts on it? Sharing it from that point and not holding back on that, not going from a situation of like, I'm going to share this much and then come through, right? I'm even in the process. And for my people who are part of Deeper Than the Brand, I'm probably going to talk about this Friday, but y'all could hear and give some feedback now, where I'm like, I'm about to truly, I've been very vocal about how do we make this more into a community vibe and not like you came in for a program and that's it, to where I'm going to take the structure of Content Corner and really build it out inside of Deeper Than the Brand so that it's powered by Deeper Than the Brand, but the community is here to just chill at the corner, to watch the podcast, to go and get, chill in where all the tools for AI is, to chill at the newsstand, to get more social media updates and that whole nine, right? Where people will fit more into that kind of environment than saying, come deeper in the brand. They're like, what does that mean? Right? What do you mean by that? But if I say, yo, come through the content corner, chill at the corner and have conversations. Moose may pass by the corner. You know what I mean? Carl may pass by the corner and we'll talk about this. Yo, we're bringing this to the corner. Like, now we're starting to build what we know of a culture, right? That it's not so do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's like, oh, I could be myself in these situations. So it takes from what I do on a personal standpoint with my content of like, hey, come through, have these talks with me, to where the community is going to give that same vibe.
Man, so good. So good. Want to get through these questions?
Yes. Hold on, because Janita had one. So, do you think content speaking to business is more challenging than customers? Okay, you may have to elaborate on that and you may hit me on the side, but I think businesses understand now. Some still might, like local businesses, they don't still truly get it. But for the most part, we're in an era that people are understanding that social media is here, it's not going anywhere. And to have a presence on social media, you need content, right? And the simplest things are killing it. And if businesses could see the simplest things are killing it, it would work out perfect, right? Anything from a product to a service to an event needs content. It never happened if you don't have content. It's not existing if you don't have it. It could live locally, but for a wider and a more consistent flow, you need content. So I think businesses understand it. People like consumers, they get it already, but businesses get it. And I hope that's what you were asking. I don't know. I just put a stab at that one. Hold up. I saw something. Here we go. What is a good ratio of lifestyle to professional content creation? How do you infuse your personal engaging with audience along with your platform and niche? Moose, I'll actually, you do this very well between I'm outside to like, no, this is what I do. I think you do that pretty well now. So if you could speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that at the end of the day, while I love my daughter and my family and I'm so happy, I don't know that people have followed me for that, right? And so I want to show a ratio of that or a portion of that so that I can mix it up so that they can see, oh, okay, this person is human too. Like he has a family, he has, things outside of his work that he cares about, because it builds a connection that way. It's almost like an indirect relationship builder with the audience. But my ratio right now, I would say, is probably like 90-10. And you also want to, there's probably a personal preference in that, I will say too, because I'm more of a private person. I think about things like, man, will my daughter want to be, fully have her life fully documented if I make that decision for her? So, I care about things like that. You might not care. Like, listen, whatever it is, I'm just going to go full blaze with it. And if you want to show a little bit more, I think there's room for it. But just don't do it to a point where people start to get confused. Like, wait a second, I thought you were a baker. Like, I don't see cupcakes and cakes on your stuff anymore. What happened to that? I thought you were doing web design. What happened to the design stuff? All right. So you don't want to create, because I think that becomes confusing. So for me, 10-15% is some of those personal things that I'll pepper in there. But for the most part, I still want to keep it, focused on what I do.
I like that. What app do y'all use to edit videos? Adobe Premiere Pro is for our computers, right? We use Adobe Premiere Pro. Far as apps on our phone, CapCut is still the number one thing, at least for me, between the templates that it has, the effects that it has, the auto captions. So CapCut is for my app, and then for the computer, it's Adobe. Which ones do you use, Moose?
I don't edit anything from my computer.
Shout out to you.
I almost killed myself when I tried a couple years back, so I never tried again. But Video Leap, man, Video Leap on my phone is one of my favorite apps. I use it for pretty much everything that I share, and that's been my go-to.
That's what's up. How do you
Differentiate.
Thank you.
I got you covered, Nick.
What you send to subscribers versus general post on IG. So that's a very good question, because I've been going back and forth about what to do with that. For the most part, I go more on content that not everybody else has. So, for example, I started doing my replays for my IG subscribers. So my Monday lives, I don't necessarily give it to anybody besides Deeper Than the Brand if you have a certain membership. Now I started to do IG subscribers and those people who are part of Deeper Than the Brand, because once again, you got to meet them where they are. So that's one thing. A deeper look into your brand. That's another one. Q&As, private Q&As. As far as for me, I don't do Q&As on my stories anymore, except for IG subscribers. First looks. So if you see something, do something, want people to know about it first, they're, the IG subscribers. But so that's kind of how I balance it. Content that you can't find anywhere else, and then a deeper look and first to knows. So, and you can have your own formula to it too, right? So that'll be that. Chill at the corner, we outside with it. Absolutely. You feel me? Does your content have a passport, or is it? Oh, I like that. I didn't even say that, but I like that. I may have to use that. Armando, I may have to use that. That's kind of vibe. Should I start posting my podcast reels to my personal Facebook page? It's difficult building an audience from scratch. Do y'all think it can help? I'm noticing Facebook is coming back alive. Yeah, I've been noticing that too. And the more the merrier. Meaning, I wouldn't totally depend on your personal page, but it is a good way to start it out. So what I mean by that is, you want to always direct people to your podcast page, right? And it took us a while. Like, we have both of us have audiences, even though we're not active on Facebook. We both have audiences personally on our Facebook pages, and it had to do a lot with always pointing them to Nicky and Moose. Always pointing, hey, we got a live going, Nicky and Moose. Maybe posting on both. But then eventually just concentrating on the amount of people who did transfer, that 10% of people that did transfer to the fan page, then we just concentrated on growing the audience there, just giving them the content and not necessarily saying, hey, personal page, go over there, because we have to remember all of them are not necessarily our target audience. And we have to be okay with that. Or some of them takes a bit for them to be like, oh snap, I need to go over there. We get distracted in that whole nine. So yeah, I'll say, do both. Here, you can answer this. How do you guys find each other? I'm looking for a person to collaborate with.
Okay.
How did we find each other?
Yeah, it sounds very like dating app-ish. It's like, how did you guys find each other? That's funny. No, man. So it's funny because Nicky and I grew up in the same neighborhood, but we never met or interacted in our neighborhood. It wasn't until joining East programs. All right, that was kind of the common interest. That was like, oh, yeah, I'm from Queens. Oh, you're from Queens? Oh,
Yeah,
shoot,
yeah.
where do you live? Like, where in Queens? Oh, you
Yeah.
like bagels? Yo, I
Love
love
bagels.
bagels.
Love
Wow, and you
bagels.
eat dessert? So being
You ate dessert?
I'm being silly with it just because of the way the question was asked. But no, that's definitely. I think communities, man, learning communities are great places to find those who have common interests and values and visions or motivations as well. So that's how Nix and I connected. So worked on a few projects together, and we are like, oh yeah, we should work together. And never really clicked until this came together.
That's a big fact. That's a good summary. I like that. I like that. And then last question from Jasmine. Started a new podcast for med students. Shout out to you. Should I focus on building a new company page or integrate on my personal page where I have more organic followers? Okay, so that's the kind of the same question. So yeah, I'll say still create the separate page, but then, always tag and collaborate with that particular page from your personal page. So you would see, we see it a lot with Instagram. Facebook also has a collaboration feature when you are posting, so that's there too. So they could always see you and the other page. And so people get accustomed to seeing it. And then eventually it could just live on its own. But, people connect with people. And so you want to do the collaboration for a certain season. Your season could be 6 months. Your season could be a year, 2 years. So I'm not saying a season like 3 months. But until you can, figure out the audience that is there and nurture to them, I would say, yeah, 2 different pages. So anyways. Thank you, Moose.
Good questions, y'all. Yeah, no, thank you. This was great. Great questions, though. Everyone from the audience, I think these questions were fire. Really good.
No, these are amazing questions. So shout out to y'all. Y'all amazing. Of course, tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, is our video experience of episode 142, and I'm excited about it because I know Isaiah's going to put a whole bunch of cookies, and I'm truly excited to see all the B-roll that he has for it. Shout out to those people who listened to the audio. Once again, it's like 2 different experiences. The audio is great for people who are on the go, who want to do multiple things at the same time but still get the gems, and the video experience if you just want to sit down and just enjoy a really dope show. So go check that out. The after show for is on Apple Podcasts only, but I do have a question for my YouTubers, those people who are on YouTube. Would you want to become a YouTube member to get exclusive content, or would you want Patreon? I'm going to ask this question. Would you want the content to stay on YouTube and just see exclusive stuff there, or would you want it on Patreon? And my Facebook people, I'm going to ask you the same thing too. Would you want it on YouTube and have everything in one location, or would you want Patreon and be built out with the video, the audio, and the after show? You let us know. I would love that feedback, to be honest with you, because like I said, and like we practice what we preach. We want to meet you where you are and where you are most comfortable. And so shout out to those people who are part of the after show. We talked a little spicy in this after show. I'm not gonna lie.
I wasn't gonna say, yeah, things got heated.
Yeah. We spoke a little spicy about certain things that are happening right now that you will never see us speak in public about. But it needed to be talked about amongst us, and so you shout out to the after show people. But we're out, people. We love you. We appreciate you. Please, if you like this, if you're on YouTube, super thanks, super chat, however you want to support the channel. And then, of course, for my Facebook people, stars it out. We appreciate that. All tips go to us. It's like tipping the creator, and we appreciate that. The channel goes on because of that. So we love you. We appreciate y'all. You know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.
Holla.